Good morning, Honorable. How are you?
Morning, Martha. I'm quite well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Just to start us off, can you just briefly give us an introduction on the free tertiary education that was recently introduced?
So, I think from the word go, it's important to recognize that it's not free tertiary education. We have to get that right. It's a subsidized tertiary education fund model. So, it's subsidized. So, that means that for your undergraduate studies, government will fully subsidize the registration as well as the tuition fee. And that will be for all eligible students at private but also public higher institutions of learning.
Okay.
So that's what it is. But it's important to state that it's subsidized. So there are still costs that the families will have to carry, especially families who could afford transport, accommodation, learning materials, all that. So that is why it's not called free. And it's only for those who are eligible.
Okay, with that said, how does the ministry intend on preventing the oversupply of graduates?
So first and foremost, we must understand that this was a very well researched, evidence-based approach that we are taking. So it's important that we measure three things and that we are clear about three things. One, it's how sustainable will this funding model be? Two, we focus on priority fields, and for that purpose and the impact and also financial sustainability. So for that purpose, we have the skills supply and demand model that NSFAF will have to work out in 2026 because the old priority list comes to an end in 2025. So for 26, we need to consult again, and we also have the Human Resource Development Plan that's guiding us. And I think you are aware of late, there's also been the NIPDP report that focus on skill supply and demand. So we've got a clear sense of what should be the priority fields. But you cannot deny that there has been an oversupply in specific fields, such as nursing and such as primary education. And this is where the concern comes about, what about those now that haven't had employment yet, and now you're offering subsidized education? Well, we say we offer subsidized education for a very first undergraduate, meaning from level 5 up to level 8. So if there's anybody who has a level 6, for example, or a level 7 and want to do an honors, they also qualify. But then also in the tertiary field, we say you must be, you are eligible from level 1 up to level 6.
Okay. I would like to know how many students will be supported for the first year?
So initially there were various scenarios that we worked upon. First and foremost, we are guided by the existing students who benefited from NSFAF. So that's a guiding tool. Secondly, we looked into 134,000 maximum based on the enrollments, the previous year's enrollment numbers for public and private institutions. However, that may significantly reduce depending on whether indeed, in terms of quality provision, the institutions, public and private, whether they do meet the minimum standards that we put up.
Minister, I'm not sure if you're aware, but when free education was introduced, there are schools that decided to add additional fees to cater for the free education, meaning they would add fees for maybe books or whatsoever. So how is the ministry gonna ensure that this does not happen with the tertiary education?
So two things. One, it's a legitimate concern. Two, the idea is not to shift the priorities or to shift responsibility. The idea is to have to have an opportunity for real accessible education for our students and for relief on the families. So what are we doing? So the fees for 2026 have already been set by higher institutions of learning, public and private. So what we are saying for the first year of implementation, we will ensure that we only pay the fees that has been in existence already. That's one. Secondly, next year will be a year of very hard work for all our institutions, because we will look at what will it cost to offer a degree so that we have that average amount set. What will it cost to offer a diploma in a public and private space? And what would it cost to offer a certificate, so that you make sure that government monitor. And I also made it very clear that we will not tolerate any increase in funding in the private institutions or public institutions that is above the norm.
Okay, with limited resources, how realistic is this 2026 rollout?
As I said, government followed the evidence-based approach. What did we do? We put together a very, very strong task team from private and public institutions, from head office, from other stakeholders and experts. And they did a very strong cost analysis and present several scenarios to Cabinet. And Cabinet approved the most cost-effective scenarios. So that is why we start with a phased-in approach. That is why you only start with a first degree. And for that purpose, we will monitor what will be the outcome, what will be the impact. And we will closely monitor also the financial feasibility. So it is a phased-in approach. For that reason, we are not covering any cost at this given moment of newly enrolled postgraduate students. The only cost for postgraduate students that will be covered are those that are currently having contractual obligations with NSFAF. So you will see that we have carefully considered this, and we will monitor it. And that is why Her Excellency, when she talked about the subsidized tertiary education, and we said we will start off with registration and tuition only, and we narrowed it down to TVET and to first undergraduate studies.
Recently, it was announced that the government has plans on providing employment to students, graduates that graduated in nursing. So does the ministry have any plans of doing that for those that also graduated in education?
So you need to look at the supply and demand. How many teachers posts do you really need? Yes, we are in a process of decongesting our schools with the construction of infrastructure, classrooms. What we actually need are fully fledged schools in all our regions. Secondly, we are releasing, and we already advertise the positions in various regions, more than 665 teachers' positions, with HOD positions and with principals positions. So that is an annual thing that we do. So you look at the needs, and you also look at the resource envelope that is available to you for all these positions. So clearly we've already started that process. Most of the regions are already ensuring that appointments are taking place, interviews are being done. I know that the concern out there is that not everybody can attend to all the interviews that they are invited to. So it's a legitimate concern. However, through the Public Service Commission, we cannot change the recruitment policy. That is something that really must be taken up as to how do we ensure that people are not becoming totally frustrated and desperate for teaching positions when only a few positions are available.
Thank you so much, Minister.